What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind. I'm your host today, TJ Zwarych. CVTPFL is feeling under the weather, so hopefully we have Stevie feeling better later in the week. But for today, I will be subbing in for him to break down the 7-game NBA DFS slate for Thursday, March 7th, joined by my guy, Shiver Me Timbo, TastefulTides, Tim Buell. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing well, TJ. Yeah, Stevie, get better soon, buddy. Be better for this weekend so we can get some good NASCAR content from you. Yeah, this is going to be a really good slate we have for this Thursday, so excited to break it down with you.
Yeah, we've had so many injury news and injury just situations to deal with lately. It seems like anytime, especially a team's on the second half of a back-to-back, the injury reports are just getting longer and longer and longer. We're getting to that end of season NBA DFS. And so let's start diving into it. The very first game on the slate for us here, we got the Nets and Pistons, a 218 total in this one. Nets are favored by 2.5 points. On the Brooklyn side of things, they are without Cam Thomas. They're without Cam Johnson. They're without Ben Simmons. And we got Day'Ron Sharpe listed as questionable. And then on the Detroit side of things, Quentin Grimes is listed as out, and that is it for them right now. Starting on the Brooklyn side of things, it's a great matchup, and half their team is out. We're probably going to be looking to a lot of Brooklyn Nets today.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of starting off with like a featured team right off the top of the show. Mikal Bridges, 7,100. If this game can stay competitive, which I kind of think it will, at least, for the most part, he's going to be in line for 35 plus minutes. He's only 7,100. They're only 3-point favorites, so this game should stay close. Dennis Schroeder at 6,100. Like they're going to be really, really popping hard in projections, I would imagine, for this slate. Nick Claxton, I always seem to get him wrong, but this is just an amazing matchup for him. So 6,800. Not a horrible price tag by any means. I do think there is some opportunity cost at center on this slate. We'll look into that a little bit later. So there is that to factor in. But I mean, Schroeder and Bridges are top plays.
Yeah, Schroeder is probably my favorite of this group. Bridges number 2, Claxton 3. Finney Smith has been playing well lately, and then I honestly think some value of like Lonnie Walker, maybe even Dennis Smith Jr. Are valuable as well. I think it's worth looking into. At least I don't know if we want to play him. Maybe this would just be for a smaller slate. But Jalen Wilson's contract just got converted from a 2-way to a full NBA contract, and he got 23 minutes last game. Watford was starting to pick up more minutes here as well recently. There are some potential value guys I think we could go with. Lonnie Walker, probably my favorite of that group. He's got the highest ceiling for if he gets hot. So I don't mind some Lonnie Walker. What about the Detroit side of things? They're pretty cheap. Cade's price keeps going down. You interested in any Detroit to run it back?
I don't think you have to run it back, but it's only a 3-point spread, so this game should stay close. Cunningham consistently plays minutes in the mid 30s. So at 7,600, that seems really, really cheap for him. I'm kind of worried about his ceiling a little bit, but in terms of like his consistency, like he's very consistent. So like, is 40 points going to be enough? 45 points going to be enough to win you GPP? Probably not, but it still won't hurt you necessarily either. So I'm fine with Cade. Maybe some, I don't know, Simone Fontecchio possibly at 4,200. I think he's an interesting GPP dart. And then maybe Duran, but I think I'd just keep it with Cunningham and Fontecchio.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Maybe a little bit of Duran for me. I don't mind. Jaden Ivey has seen his price go down a lot, so I think he's even a little bit in play. And I never want to play Detroit, but they're cheap. Like they're just kind of they're all cheap enough where I think they're viable. Sasser, I think even might get enough minutes at like 3 at almost min price, but probably not going to be needing that on this slate. Next up, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves going up against the Indiana Pacers. It's a 2-point spread, 230.5 total. Another really interesting game right at the start of the slate, because on the Minnesota side of things, we know they're without Karl Anthony Towns. And then on the Indiana side, they're already without Benedict Mathurin as well. So we have one of the top defensive teams in the league, the best defensive team in the league, maybe number 2. I'm not sure. I feel like the Celtics kind of always bounce back and forth. But Minnesota, one of the top defensive teams in the league, going against Indiana, one of the weakest, who also plays at one of the fastest paces in the league. Start with Minnesota. Gobert, Edwards, they're really going to pop, but who are we liking on this team?
Well, welcome to Nas Reed season, right?
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be super, super chalky. He's got a 23% usage rate with no Towns. Edwards has a 36% usage rate, which is 3.5% higher than his normal usage rate, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. It is very meaningful at a player of his skill level. So definitely Anthony Edwards, definitely Nas Reed. Conley, his usage goes up 4% with no Towns. So I mean, I don't usually like playing Mike Conley, but at 5,200, this massive pace up spot, I don't hate it. So I think Mike Conley at 5,200. If you play cash games, you're 100% playing Nas Reed. I don't know, many people are playing cash at this point, but Nas Reed, power forward, center eligible, 5,400. He's going to be off the charts on projections. So he's going to be one of those I would lock and load. If I was playing like a 3 max or something like that, he'd be in 3 or 3. I might even go 3 or 3 with Anthony Edwards to under 9K in this amazing matchup. I think you're getting to at least two T-Wolves on this slate.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'll probably make a rule that I play one of Nas Reed or Kyle Anderson in every single one of my lineups. I feel like that's the other guy that could kind of slot in and play big minutes at the 4. Sometimes when one of these bigs are out, we don't really see Nas get that much more run. And then other times he explodes. So I'm probably going to be making that rule one of Anderson or Nas in every lineup. And then Gobert and Edwards are my next priorities, and I like the Conley call as well. On the Indiana side of things, not a whole lot of interest here. I think Aaron Nesmith is maybe an interesting value play without Mathurin. I think TJ McConnell is always viable at this point because his price doesn't go up, and he shows that he's got a big ceiling even in limited minutes. And Halliburton is among the cheaper price tags that we've seen him, but this is Minnesota. This is one of the toughest matchups in the league.
Yeah. I definitely don't have that much interest in Indiana. Minnesota is too good defensively. That's a huge pace down spot for them. T-Wolves are number 1 in defensive rating. They are currently better than the Celtics. So really, like, if I was like building out like 100 teams or 150 teams, like maybe some Siakam at 7,500, but I really would not prioritize Indiana much at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel so often with Siakam lately, we're almost just like paying for his name. He's just not quite that same player that he was in Toronto.
Yeah.
But having said that, his price is low enough, 7,500, that he has shown like a 48, 49, close to 50-point ceiling lately. So that's good enough at that price tag.
He just seems like he's too athletic for Gobert. Like, I know Gobert is amazing defensively, but he just seems too athletic for him. So, and I imagine that Nas would guard Turner, but I'm not positive. So
I almost don't mind Turner in this spot, actually, because this is probably a matchup where, even though it's on paper bad, he's going to get more minutes than he does in those fast-paced games.
Yeah, it's definitely a couple of the bigs for Indiana, none of the guards for me.
Miami at Dallas, a little bit less exciting one you'd think, but we got a 229 total as well in this one. Dallas is favored by 4.5 on the Miami side of things. They're still without Kevin Love and Tyler Herro. And then for Dallas, we got Luka Doncic probably aren't going to have to worry about that. I never really like targeting Miami, but I do like targeting Dallas, and Miami without Herro.
I love targeting Dallas.
Me too. And so Adebayo and Butler's prices, they're getting up there a little bit, but I think there's still some meat on the bone with some of these Miami players. What do you think about the Heat?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler, 8,300. I prefer slightly more than Bam, but both are fantastic tournament plays, and I doubt they'll have much ownership. Dallas is a top 10 team in pace, a bottom 10 defense, so they're an amazing team to attack. I think even like a guy like maybe like Jaime Jaquez coming off the bench as like a 6-man at 4,700 might be interesting also as a GBP dart throw.
Yeah, I don't mind the Hawkes call. I was playing a lot of him earlier in the year, and then he just kind of disappeared. But he's been playing a bit better basketball lately, so I don't mind the Hawkes call quite a bit. One bit. Butler is going to be my favorite guy here. Maybe a little like Martin or something. Duncan Robinson's been playing more, but I can't pay for Duncan Robinson at that price. On the Dallas side of things, for me, it's typically just Luka Doncic or bust. But this is a tough pace down matchup, and he's over 12K now. He's 12-2. But this guy's had over 70 fantasy points in 5 straight games. Like, it's just
I know.
Unbelievable. What are you doing with Luka?
My first instinct is to fade him, but I mean, also that might feel like extremely, extremely stupid. It's a really, really bad pace matchup for Dallas. Miami is 28th in pace, so I mean, this is going to be very, very slow. They're 8th in defensive rating, so this is on paper a really, really bad matchup for Dallas. I know it's Luka. Boy, we'll just have to see like if we get some really, really cheap value. I guess if we do, then we'll take the raw points from Luka. But as of right now, I don't feel like I want to play Luka.
And if I'm not playing Luka, I'm probably not getting to any of these Dallas players. I don't think.
No.
Raptors at Suns, 10.5 favorite. The Suns are in this one. We got a 232.5 total for the Raptors. They have Ochai Agbaji questionable. He left the last game halfway through. Bruce Brown's out. Scotty Barnes probably out for the year. Jakob Poeltl out. Breaking all kinds of fingers and hands for the Raptors right now. On the Phoenix side of things, they're going to be without Devin Booker. Kevin Durant maybe looking for a little revenge against the Raptors after they beat the Warriors after he went down. I don't know. But you got Durant without Booker. We're always interested in Durant without Booker. But first off, let's start with Toronto. You going to get to any of these Raptors? They have been significantly priced up.
Yeah, I kind of like Kelly Olynyk. Him getting minutes in the upper 20s, under 7K, I think is at least somewhat interesting. I think Quickly's got a ceiling. I don't know if I can get to him because I'd rather play Anthony Edwards at that same price tag. Same thing with RJ Barrett, 8,300. I think possibly you could get to a guy like Jordan Nwora at 3,900 for some like sneaky value, especially if Agbaji sits, right? Like, who are they going to play? So I think Nwora's a guy to keep an eye out for tomorrow for value.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that call quite a bit. 3,900. That's a nice price tag for him. Stepping into 20 minutes in the last game. Not a ton, but a solid role, and he'll probably get more if Phoenix blows them out. On the Phoenix side of things, Durant's definitely going to be the guy I have the most interest in. Nurkic is always a player with a very, very high ceiling. It's just a bit matter of whether he gets there. And so he should have a very easy time inside against Olynyk. So I don't mind him either. And Bradley Beal off his minutes limit. So it's mainly going to be those three for me.
I didn't know that.
It's not something they really announced, I don't think, but he played 36 minutes last game.
Right. Okay. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I love Bradley Beal then.
6,900 has torched the Raptors a lot in the past. Not that really matters. Yeah. It's a totally different team. But great price tag, no minutes limit. The Grayson Allens, the Royce O'Neals, they've been priced up. I don't think I need them. And I don't think I want Eric Gordon. Like, sure, he'll probably project fine point per dollar, but it's just really Durant, Nurkic, and Beal for me.
He was on a minutes limit last game, only played 21 minutes. Gordon. Yeah.
So, I mean, if we hear that, like, he's going to have no minutes limit, he's playing 30, sure, maybe I'll get there, but still, like, I just don't really think he has that big of a ceiling. He's got to get hot in order to put up any type of ceiling.
I love Beal. That price is way too cheap if he's going to play minutes in the mid 30s. That's a very, very, very cheap price tag with no Booker.
Couldn't agree more. Probably somebody we get to in some capacity in the morning grind game later in this one. Cruising through the small 7-game slate, but 7, geez, that's really that's the sweet spot for me. 6 to 8 I like, but like 6 or 7 is really, really that sweet spot for me for an NBA DFS slate.
This is an interesting slate too, because we actually have the 7 o'clock and the 10 o'clock games on it. So you have to play that potential strategy.
Without question, the game that is likely to be the best real basketball game of the night, but maybe not super exciting from a DFS perspective. We have Boston at Denver. For Boston, Jaylen Brown is questionable in this one, so that's big. And then for Denver, they are fully healthy. Start with Boston. It's going to be a great game to watch. This is a tough matchup against Denver. It's going to be very slow paced. If Brown's in, I could see myself scratching off this whole team, except for maybe Porzingis. Porzingis would be the one guy I think I would keep in that, maybe keep in my pool. But if Brown's in, this is going to be close to an X button for me.
I completely agree. And if Brown's out, I think Tatum's basically close to a must play. Derek White even at 6,200. But yeah, if Brown's in, it's nothing. Definitely a game I'm going to watch, right? But not a great game for DFS.
Even so, even with Brown out, I probably it's only a 200 difference between Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant. Even with Brown out, I would probably rather Kevin Durant without Booker as opposed to Tatum without Brown against the Raptors, who are giving up 1 billion points right now, not playing a lick of defense. So I still don't know how much I'm going to be able to get there, but I'm with you. White, Holiday, Tatum look a lot better if Brown's out. If Brown's in, I think the only one I would be willing to consider is Porzingis. I don't think we're looking at the Pritchards or the Hausers regardless. I think it would probably be Al Horford that stepped into the starting lineup if Jaylen Brown was out. But maybe Horford would be fine in that one, but I don't think you need it even if he starts. If you're running 150, maybe you include the Pritchards or the Hausers just because they are so wildly cheap in this one. On the Denver side of things, it's a tough matchup. I would probably rather get to Doncic for only $800 more than Jokic, I think, in this spot. But Jamal Murray's $7,700 price tag is probably the thing that stands out the most to me, even though he's going to get Drew Holiday defense the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, this side of this game really does not appeal to me. Of course, you can play Jokic and MME set portfolio, but I mean, if he gets you 60, it's not going to be enough. So, and I just don't see a ceiling matchup for him in this game. So, right now, I'm not looking to play Jokic. Murray would be my favorite. I have no interest in Gordon or MPJ.
Too tough of a matchup for those guys based on where their prices are. But Murray would maybe be the only one I'd consider. But even still, it's just too tough of a matchup. But going to be a really fun one to watch on TV. That is for sure. Next up, we got the who's up next here? We got the San Antonio Spurs at the Kings. A big total on this one, 237 spread. Kings are favored by 9. We don't know who. Or actually, they opened at 9, and it's already at 10.5 because Victor Wembanyama.
Because Wemby's
got ruled out. So Domantas Sabonis going to be able to do absolutely whatever the heck he wants. And Sacramento, we're going to assume they're fully healthy, but this is the second half of the back-to-back, and it's Sacramento. And it's San Antonio. So there's a chance we could see Fox maybe sit. He's been banged up. Somebody else sitting on this one. But let's start with the San Antonio side. Wemby's out. Zach Collins is $4,300. Lock button.
Zach Collins is going to be like super, super, super chalk.
I think you either lock him or you make a rule that I'm going to play one of Collins or Barlow in every lineup, one of Collins or Keldon Johnson in every lineup, because Keldon Johnson's only $4,900 too. he's going to pop at that price tag. Sohan's going to look good at 51. Vassell Jones, like this whole team is going to look great.
I was going to say, I'd make a rule to play at least one of Collins and Vassell over those other guys.
Mm-hmm. I just kind of feel like my thing with Collins is I feel like the only way he fails is foul trouble. And the only other center they have in their lineup is Barlow. And so if Barlow gets even 20 minutes, he could be the smash play of the day at 3K.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but Zach Collins is going to project so well tomorrow. It's going to be insane. He's going to be insanely high owned.
I'll probably do something like 80% Collins, 20% Barlow, 90% Collins, 10% Barlow.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, what are you saying? I kind of cut you off there.
No. I think he's pretty good chalk, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I would probably get to 75, 80%, like you said.
When like Keldon Johnson too, he's been playing 30 plus minutes a night, 34, 27, 31, 34 his last 4. He's averaging nearly 30 fantasy points a game, and he's below 5K. And Wemby's though. Like I think we're probably going to be playing at bare minimum 2 Spurs in every single lineup, but maybe even pushing 3.
We're basically playing 2 Spurs and 2 T-Wolves already.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's pretty easy.
Because my thing with the Spurs too is like they got a lot of bodies, so like they could 20 minutes everybody and people could fail if this turns into a mega blowout. But these price tags are just so good. I kind of feel like if one person fails, it'll be the backup that succeeds. So especially with their big men, I want to get to a lot of them. Maybe they dust off Mamu Kelishvili or something, but I think it's obviously going to be Zach Collins as the good chuck. And then I think Barlow is the potential pivot with Sohan, Collins looking as great cheap plays, and Vassell looking at one of the better mid-range plays on the slate. On the Sacramento side of things, like I said, we don't know who's going to be in or out based on this being a back-to-back. But if everybody's in, they all look pretty good. Sabonis at 10.6, Fox at 8,500. That's way too cheap. And Monk's price has even gone down a bit. Murray's price has gone down. Herder's price has gone down. This whole team looks pretty good too.
I think it would be just Fox for me. I wouldn't want to waste my center spot on Sabonis. I don't think. Like, I know I'm using one spot on Collins, right? So who's going to be my other center? It's probably not going to be Sabonis. It might be a guy like Nick Claxton or Nurkic or like Gobert. So I know it's an amazing spot, and I know Sabonis is like racking up the triple doubles, but I'd rather just get to Fox, I think, at 8,500.
Yeah, Fox would be my primary choice too. I just think Sabonis, he could easily end up being the highest scorer on the slate. He's
absolutely.
Just especially like we just saw what Şengün just did to them. There's no Wemby. Şengün and Sabonis are basically the same guy.
Right.
And so I think that ceiling's there, but I'm with you. Fox is my favorite, and I don't mind Malik Monk either. Final game of the slate, we got the Chicago Bulls at the Golden State Warriors. Warriors are favored by 7 in this one, 223.5 total. On the Chicago side of things, it's a back-to-back, so we're not going to know who's in, who's out. Probably going to still be without Craig and Terry. Not that really matters all that much. And then Patrick Williams and Zach LaVine, of course, are still out. On the Golden State side of things, looking like they're fully healthy. But again, this is the back-to-back for them as well. Assuming we see no shenanigans, who are you liking for the Bulls?
Well, they finally got White's price up to 8K, so maybe he's too expensive now on the road in Golden State.
I don't think so. I still want him.
Yeah, I know. I kind of want him too, but there's just so many other better plays that we've already talked about that same price range.
Obviously, it's Utah, but he's at 25. He's at 25-5-5 against Utah through 3 quarters right now.
Yeah, I've had really good success playing in the last 2 slates, like really good teams. So I don't know. Back to back going into Golden State though, we already have such good guards around that 8K price tag. I'm not really that thrilled about it. Maybe Vucevic, but I don't really like the Bulls at all.
Yeah, not super high on the Bulls unless we get somebody sitting out here. I could see Alex Caruso missing this one on the second half of a back-to-back, which I think would bump up Sunmu quite a bit. A little bit of sticker shock on his price tag, but he's just been playing very, very well.
I
On the
think
Golden
I think
State,
I'm gonna bet. I think I'm gonna bet the Warriors -7 right now.
the where I would worry is this being a second half of a back-to-back. Now they have so many guys that it might not matter because nobody plays big enough minutes that they'll have to sit anyone. But
Right.
Draymond's a guy we've seen sit on second halves on occasion. Clay, probably not because he's not playing as heavy minutes. But Chris Paul, you never know. Andrew Wiggins, it's his first game back from a personal issue. You never know. We could, and Podziemski, it's his first game back from an injury. So we could still end up seeing a lot of these guys sit. But having said that, this is a team that's so deep, it may not really matter from like a sports betting standpoint who's in or out, because what's really the big deal? What's really the big difference if it's Wiggins, Paul, Podziemski, or Kuminga getting those minutes, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, I kind of like Golden State for betting.
Having said that, for DFS, I almost think we could just like scratch off this game. Kobe White is the guy I probably want to get to the most, but this might be the worst game on the slate from the DFS perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. There's nobody that really stands out. I mean, you could always play Curry in a portfolio of teams, but I'm not thrilled about it.
All right. I don't think I remember the order of the morning grind game, but I'm pretty sure I do remember all of the different categories. So let's start things off. I want to start it off with a bust. Who is your bust of the day over 8K? Who's not going to 5X?
Who's my bust over 8K? All right. I'll go Jokic.
I think that one makes sense. It's going to be tough for him to 5X that salary. I'm going to go RJ Barrett. He's up over 8K now, and that price tag is just I don't think he warrants quite that. I definitely think Quickly is the guy there right now. Who's your favorite 6X play on the slate?
6X play. I will go with Anthony Edwards.
I will go with Bradley Beal in this one.
Yeah.
Favorite value play under 5K?
I want to find a. Yeah, I'll go Keldon.
I will accept the freebie there. I will take Zach Collins. And but I agree. I think those are.
I feel like that's cheating. I feel like that's cheating, but
hey, okay. It's correct. It's the right answer. I'm the host. I'm allowed to make these concessions. That's what Stevie always says to me. And so I'm gonna do it. Who is your let's get weird GPP play of the day?
I'll go Simone Fontecchio.
Very interesting. I'm gonna go Malik Monk in that one. Any bets, player props, pick'ems that stand out for you the night before?
I think I'm gonna bet the Warriors -7 like right this second. So that's gonna be my bet. I have not looked at any props yet this evening.
I like it. I don't have any that really stood out to me, but I definitely don't mind Anthony Edwards more than 29.5 points without looking at things. I think that's something he's got a 30-piece incoming. That'll do it for the morning grind. If you are live with us on YouTube, thanks so much for joining us. Or even if you're listening the next day, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You got any content on Thursday, Tim?
Nope, I'll just be on NHL projections, so you can find me in the NHL Discord channel.
The very best, most valuable Discord channel in all of DFS. So if you're not checking that one out and you're dabbling with NHL DFS, or you were considering dabbling with NHL DFS, definitely check out the RotoGrinders Discord. I will be back in the morning right here for RotoGrinders today with Blender, talking some hockey, using your projections that you're putting together and helping the people apply them. And then I'll be on hosting Crunch Time again with Squirrel and Taylor. So lots of great content coming for you. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.